Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Everything in Racing. Ernie promised 100 times that he was going to show up this time, and I even set up the chair and the microphone and everything, and he did not show up. So, again, it's a solo episode. I'm sure he's alive and that April is not holding him in the basement.
Hey, what are you doing, man?
Oh, hey. Hey, Ernie. How's it going, buddy?
Here, man. What are you doing? Hey, Steph, what's up?
What's going on, man?
Good to see you. Man, you starting without me?
I am starting without
Did you
you.
lose faith in me, man?
I
think
did.
I wasn't coming?
I lost a lot of faith in you.
I know you're a Ford dude. And
Well-
I drive a Chevy, but it did not break down.
Okay.
Much to your disbelief.
Well, I'm going to call this a late start. We are definitely revoking your bracket racer
I'll
card.
catch you before the strike, man.
Oh,
I'll catch you before the strike.
I don't think you are.
Yeah.
I don't think you will.
Well, how's it been, man? I see you've been working your tail off on the podcast, man.
Dude, it's been a lot of work. It's been a lot of fun holding down the fort, I'm glad you got to take your little break there.
Yep.
But we had some really good podcasts on there. John Dock came on, Pro Mod Randy came on. That one was the one that surprised me the most. That was a really fun conversation. I wish you could have been here for it.
Yeah, fortunately, I've been like all the fans, and they once tuning in, and I've been able to go back and listen and watch and learn some stuff. So I'm really looking forward to getting back with the program.
There we go.
But today, who we have?
Stedman Williams.
Mr. Stedman Williams.
Oh, man. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, I'm glad to be here.
We appreciate the honor, man. Appreciate you coming in.
Yeah, thanks
All
for
right.
accepting our invite, because we will spam people to get them on.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't click the link.
Yeah. There you go. All right, man. Well, we start every podcast with the same question, which is what got you into this world of horrible financial decisions?
Well, that's a lot. Been racing since child. Cars, Hot Wheels, RC cars. You just keep going up until you finally get a job and you never have any money.
He just defined about 90% of racers out there.
That is 100% racers out there.
Yeah, you're broke. Well, I'll beat you next week. Wait till my check comes in.
I feel good when I get a sticker.
Hey, there you
Hey.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, what'd you first start out with, man? As far as in drag racing, did you start out with some other type of racing, or?
Well, it wasn't really drag racing. I did more like ATVs, racing. But it wasn't like at Bosco or nothing. It was out there, flag man, we raced and did it that way.
Out in the field, dirt pad, wherever you catch somebody.
Exactly.
You heard them revving it up. They were game.
Racing cars on the side of the road. Yeah.
I mean, that's where you got to start, though. You got to start somewhere.
Well, I mean, every one of us started at a stoplight somewhere, man. I mean, if you weren't racing somebody at a stoplight, I mean.
We weren't born with a license.
Nah.
No.
On too many stoplights.
No. We used to find the old back roads, man. And then, I mean, that's what everybody still does. The ones who do it. We don't condone street racing, but
We do not.
do it safely.
Yeah.
Take it to the track if you can.
Exactly. Take it to the track, guys.
But so you started out with that. Do you remember what your first car was?
My first car was a 1986 Camaro.
86 Camaro.
Yeah, Z28.
You had a 305, 350 in it, or
Let's start up with 305.
started with the 305?
Started with a
Till it
305.
blew it up.
Nah, it never blew up.
Come on now.
It never blew up.
I'm gonna tell you what. Some of them 305s, some of them were
Yeah.
tough, bro.
Yeah.
They were tough.
I think I got it to go 920s. We ended up putting a 750 carb up there. It's too rich, so when it was running, you can see it just blowing gas out the exhaust pipe. But it never blew up.
Was that an automatic? Have an automatic in it or a straight shift?
I had a 7R.
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So were you doing the one wheel wonder with that car, or?
At first, yeah. That was my first time on the track. We were doing the one wheel peel, then we put a mini spool in it.
That's
Oh,
what's
nice.
up.
You didn't just go welding the diff and say,
Nah.
just send it? Oh, nice.
I had to learn the hard way. We had a 7.5 in our Firebird, man, and we had a built motor in there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I believe the first time I come out of the water box and it actually hooked. Yeah, we were pushing that back to the trailer. Clang, clang.
What's your brake?
It was a 7.5 rear end we had in the 85 Firebird, I believe what it was.
Uh-huh.
But we had put a 400 small block in there. Just a little old P motor.
Just a 400 small block.
Yeah, just 400 small. With some 10 files in the back. So whenever it grabbed, the weakest link went.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
So
I've always been an IRS guy. My car's always been on IRS, so I'm in the axle snapping life, not the rear diff snapping life. You know.
Well, you know, your rear end is like as wide as a piston, so it kind of don't break the rear end.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you started with the Camaro, and then you went and gravitated into what?
Well, I started with a Camaro. I did drive my dad car a little bit. He has a Nova. I don't really remember what year, but he brake raced for a little bit. He started racing that. Then I ended up selling my Camaro. That's when I started going into the 1986 Pontiac Parisian.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm racing it now, but I had no plans to do what I'm doing now with it.
I remember first seeing that car in the Honda. I think that's where I saw that the first time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I met you. I believe that's the first place I met you. I met you and Lorenzo and a couple other guys over there in the Honda, and y'all were hanging out. And that car was even impressive back then, man.
Oh, yeah. It was stock 5.3 that my dad had sitting in the corner for I don't know how many years. I didn't even know he had an LS. I said, I need an LS. I got one. I know you done shit to do. Went in the shop, opened the door, and it was sitting around the floor. It was rusty. Like, we ended up taking it apart, looking through it. Agreed it was all right. Put it back together. Threw it in the car. Put a turbo on it.
Well, I mean, I remember seeing that car. What intrigues me the most, and I want to get into that a little later, but about the big wheel stuff. But you said you never got the opportunity to learn much about his racing program. I've seen right much about it. Gravitate from this old car nobody thought was ever going to do nothing, man.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it was a boat.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that car, whenever you pull up beside a Hemi, I mean, it made the Hemi look small.
Well, it's still a boat. I ain't lighted up.
You hadn't lighted it, man?
I haven't put no light on it.
That car is moving, man.
It's still heavy.
So you started out with a 5.3. It was just stock motor? Were you spraying it, or?
Well, the 5.3 first had a S475 turbo on it. I still got the turbo, too. You know what I mean? But I never got the full capability out of it because I was just starting out. So I had like a real cheap ECU. I had a micro squirt on it, which is real cheap. If y'all ever thought about using it, it's the go-to ECU. It's like $600 for the harness and ECU. The ECU is probably no bigger than your cell phone.
Yeah, micro squirts they're pretty small.
Yeah.
And wasn't somebody working with you on that car, helping you?
Yeah, Andrew Wardinger. He converted me over to LS.
Oh,
riding his Volvo. Yeah, after I rode it, I was like, man, I got to do this. We got to do this. You know what I mean? He thought I was playing, so I called him and said, all right, we're going to order parts. I think I ordered like two.
That's when it gets serious, man.
Mm-hmm.
You're like, hey, man, just send me some links, and I need your address.
Oh, I just sent him money. He said, if you're serious, man, I said, how much money to send? He said, well, he didn't give me a price, but he said, this is stuff you need to order. He gave me a parts list, and I just sent him all the money. He ordered it, and we got it going. We did it right in his garage. But it was a fun build, something to do.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? It's real meaningful because my car is my grandfather's car. It's a car I learned how to drive on, so sentimental value, would never sell it.
I got one of those.
Yeah, I get that. I get that 100%.
Yeah, man. Well, it's not the typical car you see out at the track either. I mean, that's what caught my attention, the Pontiac. You don't see as many Pontiacs out there nowadays.
Mm-hmm.
Then the fact it was, what was the car again?
Everybody pronounces it different. It's a Parisian, or some people say Parisine, but it's ideally the Bonneville, but it's supposed to be the luxury version.
It's the luxury version.
Yeah. Oh, nice.
But yeah, man. So, I saw you running that in the Honda. What other tracks did you take that car to before you changed it up, or did you run that motor for a while? Or
I ran it for a while. Like the first motor, I never went out of North Carolina. You know what I mean? So it was just the Honda, Kingston. I think I went to Fayetteville. I think I went to Jacksonville maybe twice. I didn't really start traveling to the third motor, in the LS where you got to blow one up first.
Mm-hmm.
What was the crazy looks you got with that car, man, when you pulled in or you pulled up to the beam?
Shoot. Really, everybody loved it. You know what I mean?
I know at first they're kind of like, man, what is that, man? And then when they saw it go down the track the first time or two, they were like, they met you back in the pits. Like, what is that, man?
Well, a lot of people knew what it was. They just never seen nobody race it. Because when I first started racing the car, I had the fender skirts on it. So, first eye glance, you don't know it's turbocharged, anything. It just looks like a rusty car. You know what I mean? Typical everyday driver.
Mm-hmm.
Until they see me race it.
You ran that car for a while before you ever painted it, right?
Yeah.
It was like a rusty sky blue.
Yeah. It was like a light blue on the side with a top rust fading into the blue. Yeah.
So it's always funny to me. There's two schools of thought, I think, with race cars, right? When we're building these things, there's either the guys that are more my camp, where I want it to be pristine and pretty and stand out and look right, and there's other guys that
stand out,
and other guys are just like, I just want it to. It's just a shell, right? I don't care if it's rusty. I don't care if it's got a dent in it. I don't care, like, none of that, And it's always like, I think that's pretty much the only two camps it falls into. It's like, oh, I got a body panel, and it comes whatever the, rough black is from it. Yeah, just stick it on there. We don't even need to, put rattle cam paint on it. Just leave it.
Oh, yeah. That's how it was when I first started out. Like, I originally wasn't going to paint it, but as I kept racing and racing, people kept liking the car, First, my pops was like, hey, you need to paint the car. I'm like, why? We don't need to let it get more rusty. So I painted it myself the first time. Went on O'Reilly's, Lowe's, all that, got some primer and some, duplicolor paint.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't care what colors, grabbed some blue paint, sanded it down and sprayed it right in the yard. So,
but it looked good, man.
Oh yeah, it won't smooth now. It felt like sandpaper, but it was sprayed.
It upgraded the car. It went from just being fast to looking fast.
Yeah,
there's a lot of guys that like that. There's some guys they don't care as long as it's fast. They don't care. I mean, and that's something I've noticed in all forms of racing. If you got a guy whose car sounds really good, but it don't look the greatest, he's not afraid to use that wall on his side of the track to beat you.
Oh, no, I ain't hitting the wall.
He's like, hey, man, I just barely grazed it. It's good as long as we make it the next round.
Mm.
Those are the ones you really have to worry about. They're hardcore guys. They're like, man, I'm not worried about it being a beauty queen. I'm sure I'll put the good side facing the camera in the winner's circle. That's what they say.
I ain't got that far yet. I put in the wall to win. I'll just take the L.
Yeah.
Race tomorrow.
That's where I'd have to be at, man.
Is there anything scarier than lining up against a Honda Civic with non-matching body panels on it? Because that guy's going to be all over the track.
Yeah.
And somewhere between start line and that finish line, that transmission is going to say, see you later, nerd. You just hope you're in front of him when that happens.
That's always the plan, to be way out there, so you ain't got to worry about all that stuff. Mm-hmm. The action be behind you, not in front of you.
Yeah.
So that car, you got it painted, and were you still running, when you got it painted, were you still running the 15 slicks?
Which time? When I painted, or the
either
paint
one.
now?
Just tell us about the transition, and that's one reason why I wanted to have you on here too, because I know you run 10.5 slicks a lot of times, but you also run big wheel, man.
Oh yeah.
That's a game I don't know. I know very little about, but I know them guys they're getting fast, man. Super
like big
fast.
tire or donk wheels?
Like donk wheels.
Well, the word donk is the year for the Impala.
Mm-hmm.
But everybody just call any car with rims on it don't, because they don't know.
Yeah, they don't know the difference.
They don't know the difference. But back to the paint, it's like when I painted it myself, that was just because my dad asked me to. But after running over a course of time and getting my name out there, I had a guy, Chris, out of Fayetteville, called me, and he wanted to paint the car, because I wasn't going to paint the car. But he said, hey, man, let me paint the car, man. We'll do a sponsorship paint job on it. It was all right, cool. So I just paid for the material. He painted the car. But a lot of people don't know, my car is blue. But when the light hit it, it got a purple pearl, so it really stayed purple all day until it get dark. When it get dark, you can see that it's blue. It's a BMW blue.
Okay.
But I like the way it flopped for real, because it looked purple all the time.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a big believer in having the car stand out. That's how we originally
Yeah, we butted heads in the beginning, man, because I would not take a picture of his car. I mean...
Why not?
Because there was like 5 black Mustangs that looked just like his at the track.
It's black?
It was... it is black, but I've got it wrapped now.
So it's black and you wrapped it black.
I wrapped it with tattered American flags down
On
the
the
side of
sides.
it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and those are the other white American flags, and they got a red stripe for one of them for firefighter support.
Gotcha.
Because I've worked with a ton of firefighters through the years, and I have a ton of respect for those guys.
Yeah.
So, and he was right. It does stand out a whole lot more. But you would have thought that year, in the class that I was in, there was only 2 cars in it, because they'd only take two pictures of, or they'd take a ton of pictures of those 2 cars, and you might see like the bumper of one of the other cars in the background of those pictures.
Right.
I'm like, dude, there's like 9 guys in this class, and they're only taking pictures of 2 cars. Like, whoa, they're kind of boring.
Well, I hadn't taken many pictures of
You're
that
kinda
car.
boring.
I remember thinking back now. I remember you had just had some damage to that car at like Myrtle Beach, and I think the
Yeah.
first time I met you was at Jacksonville, and it was damaged. And I'm just not myself, man. I'm not a big fan of taking pictures of someone's car that's been damaged.
That's the best picture.
But I
want to say this, and particularly at an event where there's been an accident and somebody's so emotional about their car, I might take 1 or 2. Once I know the racer is safe, with 10-5 life, sometimes I might take 1 or 2 just to document it, so the people that wasn't there, they could see, because everybody wants to see. Everybody wants to see how bad it was. When you hear one of your friends wrecked, or any racer, first thing you want to know is, are they okay?
Right.
Number 2, is the track raceable, because you want to get back to racing. And number 3, you want to see how bad the car was. And a lot of times you want to know how bad it is, because as a racer myself, you're a racer, you want to know if you got something sitting on the shelf to help them get back going quickly,
Right.
If I see it's got a fender damage, well, I got one of those fenders, man, I'll send it to you.
Right.
So I personally try to stray away from taking a lot of pictures of damaged cars.
I guess.
And sometimes I'll do it for that case. I'll do it where people say, "Oh, I think you could fix that." If it's minimal damage, if it's totaled, I'm just not one of those guys that'll do that. But in your case, I just hadn't.
It was just cosmetic damage to my car. I'd been down to Mustang Week in Myrtle Beach and got caught in a rainstorm with ET Street R's on the back, and she just slid right off the road right into a sign. But it got passenger side door, which that's hanging downstairs actually, and then the driver's side rear fender area, and just crunched it all. But it was all just cosmetic. There was no mechanical damage to the car. All the suspension was perfectly fine. Wheels, tires were fine.
Did you keep racing?
I did.
That's why I needed a picture.
Yeah. So, and I've got pictures of it. Actually, one of the door, I just put a Cash App sticker in the middle of it. And so a couple people thought that was pretty funny. Nobody sent me any money, but they thought it was funny.
See, I would have sent at least $5.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I got taking pictures after he put some decals on it. I could actually tell who it was in instead of squinting in the corner and say, "Is that Nate?" Yeah. That's
Well, then, I did reach out to the race master for that one, Braxton. Said, "Hey, look, car's fine. It's just dinged up." And he was like, "Well, in qualifying rounds or shakedown, we're gonna have you go down by yourself. As long as nothing flies off the car, you can run the event." It's like, cool.
Well, it's hard. A lot that one event, the 252. I'm not going to dig into that so much. There's just a couple of different classes now, and it's hard to keep up with who's running. I didn't never know on certain nights. I think it was Kinston. A lot of times they wuld run test and tune cars in between, and it was hard to tell. For me, not never leaving the line and going walking through the pits, hard to tell who was running in the class and who was just doing a test pass. So I think that was part of the issue with that, man. But as far as your car goes, man, so you got this guy to paint it out of Fayetteville. What was his name again?
Chris.
Chris, and that's the paint job that's still on the car?
Yeah.
And so you got the paint job. Did that make it faster, man? We talked to some guys. They get the ceramic coat put on their cars.
No.
They had to pick up at least a half a tent, man.
No, I don't. Me personally, it didn't make me faster. I'm driving kind of like a brick, so the paint didn't make it go any faster. But it made it look better.
Well, when you come down the return lane, you put your hand on top of the wheel instead of tending.
I drive
cruise
with
it,
my
man.
hand on top of the wheel. Like I literally don't drive like this, at all.
I've seen this dude, man. He cruised into the Honda, just driving his car, pull right into the lanes, do a little type of email on his computer over there, probably hitting the up arrow and get out a little air out of his tires and make a pass or two. Then I think I looked a few minutes later and he had some food, and I was like, "Man, where'd you go?" "Oh, I went to McDonald's or something up the road, man." Come back and make another pass. Dude was driving it every day, driving it to the track, making. How fast was that car run? We don't want to talk about.
Oh,
but we can talk about then. We ain't gonna talk about now.
Like it went some it was going 630s, 620s with the 5.3 and the S475. Cause like I never really maxed that out. You know what I mean? It probably I probably got it to like 600 horsepower. It would have made more than that, but me and my buddy was tuning it ourselves. You know, it wasn't like we was on the dyno getting it perfect. It was like go do a pull on the highway, don't get caught. Go do another pull on the highway, don't get caught. You know, so it did good for what it was. You know, cause that was around when I did my first interview with Jay Malcolm when I was at Fayetteville. I kept slinging my belt off. I kept driving back to the parts store, make a pass, then drive to the parts store, which was like 20 minutes away. Get a belt, drive back, put it on, make another pass, which didn't realize I needed a tensioner that didn't move, a manual tensioner. Because anything above 6,000 RPM in LS, you're going to sling the belt off. The tensioner just lets it go. So I was just slinging it off very fast. But it was a fun experience, though. I won. You know what I mean?
That's all that matters at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how fast you are as long as you're on the winner's circle.
Oh, yeah.
Met a few haters. So let's talk more about going from basically a car you drove around the track, which you can probably still drive it now, but to getting more into trailering at places, going to bigger races, man.
Well, now I can't drive around as much. I got like this expensive Honda radiator in the front because I went from the T6 manifold that bolt to the head. That's what was at first. To a custom turbo kit. Now my turbo's in the grill. So now I don't have the full size radiator. So I can drive it. I just can't drive it far. You know what I mean? Still got tag insurance, signal lights, all that stuff still work. But, you know, just doing that kind of ruined my street ability.
That's more so set up to drive to the lanes, drive back to the pits, drive around the track.
Now in the wintertime, I can drive it because it ain't hot. You know what I mean? But 100-degree weather, no.
Yeah. But, I mean, that's where we speak a lot about to a lot of racers. You know, there's a lot of guys when they first start building a car, getting into drag racing, they build a car just to have fun, and then it turns to a point you kind of have to find where you fit in. And it's not that you got to be the fastest, but you just got to be competitive in what class you fit in or what style of racing you fit in.
No doubt.
And the main thing is you got to keep having fun at it. There's got to be fun, or else why do it? But number two, be competitive, and there's going to be times you get beat. You get beat, and you get beat bad, but that means you go home and you work on your program like them other guys are doing, and come back and beat them the next time. So you change the radiator. What else have you done to the car?
Shoot, now the car's had a whole 360. From the paint job, I linked up with Wicked Performance out of Raleigh. You know, they're like a major sponsor for me. You know, and I'm going to go in detail about that because a lot of people always say, I want a sponsor, but don't know how to get one. You know what I mean? A sponsor is always about offering the other person something where they can win too. You know what I mean? At the time, he was a small shop. I'm a new guy. I threw the pitch. He told me no. A lot of people don't never hear that part. They just think, oh, I'm racing. Oh, you get a sponsor. Like, no. He told me no twice. You know what I mean? But I kept shopping with him. Got my transmission done by Wicked Performance. Got my rear end done at Wicked Performance. And I kept racing. He called me up, hey, man, you still under that sponsor thing? And he was on board, you know what I mean? So it won't just you ask, you get it, you know what I mean?
You got to have skin in the game, man. I mean, and that's part of what we want to do with this podcast, too, is we want people that see other racers and say, man, I don't know if I can ever be at their level. They want to see, I want them to understand that you're getting out there, you're physically sanding and painting your car. You're getting out there and tuning it and doing all this extra effort to get it to the next level to where it is getting noticed and you can eventually get the sponsorship. But it doesn't start out when you just grab a car and go get a sponsor to come on board. I mean, you've got to put in the work.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. No doubt.
So they come on board and because you're getting stuff with them. And what have you done since then, since that relationship's been built?
Transmission-wise, I started out with a Turbo 350. That was built by Roger Cook. I don't know if y'all know him. He's local in the Goldsboro area. You know what I mean? Grenaded that, made too much power. So went from that to a Turbo 400 built by Wicked Performance. That went on for like 2 years. And then I think second started slipping. Redid that. We did an event at KDS. Wheel hop. I shattered the whole case. You know what I mean? So got rid of that. Now currently what I have in my car now is a FTI 5.5 Reed's case, like 2,400 horsepower rated transmission from Wicked Performance, because he's an FTI dealer. You know, I got a spec converter, Pro Mod 10-inch in my car.
Pro Mod. You heard that, right?
I heard it. It means he's a Pro Mod driver.
No. Pro Mod's for the weight. Like my car weighs like 4,300 pounds. You know, it's not light at all. So I did that, and we had a drive shaft done. I still got a rear, which a lot of people don't know. Like, you can take the rear out of a SS Impala and put in any Monte Carlo or.
Is that like the bubble SS's?
Yep. You take the one out of a police car. It already got all disc brakes, all that stuff on it. So I got one of them and just redid it. 33 spline axles, 5/8 studs immediately. I didn't step up as I broke. I went straight to 5/8 studs.
Yeah,
you know.
You have somebody use some insight on that one?
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of racers, man. Even my core I'm working on now. I got to upgrade them studs, man. Or else I know I'm gonna shear them right off.
Yeah.
You're actually working on a car?
Shh.
I'll believe when I see
We're
it.
getting back on it.
Oh, okay.
I got the other projects finished, so I did some. Look, man, while I was on vacation, while we were taking the commercial break, I got some house painting done, some floors done. Worked on I got some stuff done in the house. I'm kind of in a good place now. I can get back on the car a little bit.
Okay.
You got to make your wife happy. You know how it is.
Okay. So how much are you going to ask for? Are you going to ask for like back tire?
Yeah.
Are you going to ask for everything in racing?
So
Everything.
you mean you're going to start at the finish line?
Yeah. You just come out of the water box and never leave the light and just keep going.
I might can pull it off though.
I'm gonna have to work that out.
So, do you end up doing a lot of like more grudge style racing, or do you do like list style? Like where do you find yourself fitting into?
I just started grudge racing, like probably within a year for myself. Now I drive 2 cars.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And you've seen the Monte Carlo I have on my trailer.
Yeah.
You know, my guy, Desmond Lane, he's out of Georgia. You know, I've been driving his car ever since I met him.
Is that car's got a name, right?
Yeah, the Purge.
The Purge.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I got a picture of that car the other week.
Yeah, it started out as a nitrous big block car, now it's a LS turbo car.
Yeah, man, I actually saw that for the first time the other day at KDS. You were out there doing some tests and tuning with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is that, man? There's not a nitrous lines on that car, man. What is that?
That must be a nice feeling when somebody asks you, "Hey, can you drive my car for me?"
Oh, yeah. I'm driving 4 cars now, you know, for people.
Yeah, every once in a while, I see pictures online. There's this dually, and it's just got all these big wheel cars on the trailer. And I'm like, that dude's going to be running. How many classes you running, or how many races you got lined up? And like each car is lined up with a race before you even get there, man.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be a good feeling. Is there much difference in the cars that you run?
Very.
A lot of difference?
I mean, they all turbo cars, but, you know, everyone is different.
Well, I know a lot of times the turbo lag or the spool, that's the biggest difference. Is it in getting those cars to spool up, or?
Not necessarily. As long as the cubic inch is right and the turbo is right, it ain't really much difference.
Is there some of those cars got big blocks, or someone got small blocks, or?
The newest one I started driving got a big block in it.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you notice much difference with the top end pull on those versus the small blocks, or is it about the same, or
It's about the same.
down low, is it any different, or
Down lows is definitely the same.
down?
You know, slow out the hole and slowly get faster, but you don't really know how fast you're going until you look at the ticket.
Mm.
You know.
So that's something I want to get into, because I'm not knowledgeable about the big rim racing. How much of a difference did you notice between the 10.5 going to the B tire? Because I know some cats be talking to you about, well, if you was on a 10.5, you ain't scared.
On a good track, there's no difference. Like, seriously. ET-wise, there's no difference. But on, like, a track that ain't prepped right, there's a big difference.
Oh, yeah. It's going to be almost,
It'll
operates
spin.
like a radio, pretty much.
Yeah. A radio prep, the ETs are the same.
Mm. I mean, I've only ever raced against one big tire car.
Well, yeah,
And
let's talk about that.
Yeah, there's Boost Doctor, It
Oh,
was.
yeah.
I was in a race down in Fayetteville, and it was supposed to be a single power adder, AC in the car, and roll down windows. I can guarantee he did not have AC on that car, but they let him race anyway. And
Tell him about the chip draw.
oh yeah, he didn't even show up for the chip draw or nothing. They just wrote his name down, and they're just like, whoever gets chip number 2 is the unlucky sucker, and that was me.
Jesus.
So
And,
he drew the chips when he got back to the pits, and everybody was like, "Who'd you get?" And they were like, "Boost Doctor," and they were like, just when you come back, just go right on the trailer. You can hang out with us the rest of the race.
Yeah.
He was
I
like,
got you.
"Who you talking about?"
Yeah. I had just put a turbo 400 in my car. I was barely making 700 horsepower at the time, so he ran out of my life.
Jesus.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a quarter-mile race, too, so that one, it just kept getting farther away. I'm just like, I got nothing.
Got you. Bathroom break.
And we're back.
All right.
All right. Magic of editing, that took 2 seconds. So you might want to see your doctor about that or something. All right. So we were talking about, grudge racing, types of racing that you are doing, driving a whole bunch of cars and stuff like that. So how does that end up working for you? So, like, you're the hired driver for that, but they're putting up all the money for the races?
Yes.
So, like, do you get a cut of it if you win?
Well, I really get paid to drive regardless if I win.
Okay.
But if I do win, I get a percentage of whatever the bet is or the shootout or whatever is taking place.
Okay. All right. Well, that's pretty good. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess the biggest thing for you is, they set up the cars for you, they get everything ready, but you got to cut that light.
I didn't do that very well.
Yeah. Well, I'm assuming you do because that's
Yeah.
why you're a hired driver.
Yeah.
Generally, you're not going to hire a driver if he's like a, 0.1 or a 0.10, or whatever it is,
I see it all the time, though.
Oh, yeah. That's probably the biggest thing I got to work on is my reaction times because I was forced to do foot brake all last year.
Wow.
Because people complained about me having to trans brake and cutting, O and double O lights on them the year before. And so they're like, it's a daily driver class and a daily driver car shouldn't have a trans brake. I was like, well, that's stupid.
Yeah,
So-
but, trans brake kind of go hand in hand, but I get it, though.
Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah. So we did some transmission trickery where we put between the converter and first gear,
Mm.
I could stomp on it and it would wheelie. So we did a 275 first gear in the Turbo 400.
Ah, I
And
got you.
so it would just ring up like crazy. So it did not matter. I could have a 0.2, 0.27 reaction time,
Mm.
and I'd just track them right back down. It did not matter.
Right.
So that was pretty cool. But we're getting rid of that because I don't want to. I'm going back to trans brake.
And William ain't winning.
No, it's cool for pictures,
Yeah.
But and like, I got my picture where the car's like that far up off the ground. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need to do it anymore.
I got you.
Yeah. So, what is your current combination you've got on? Is it Joker? Is your car?
Yes.
Okay. All right.
My current combination right now is a motor I just built recently. I had a TKM do the machine work,
Okay.
and I wanted a spare because I only had one motor. So if anything happened, I was stuck until I could get it to
don't want it
coast.
down a few months.
Yeah. So I just built another motor.
Okay.
But I went Wicked Performance ended up giving me a aluminum block. I took it to TKM to get it sleeved. Dez, which is the owner of the Purge, we been getting a lot of friends lately, so the guy had a rotate 70, pretty cheap, brand new. I was ended up buying it. So ended up building me another motor, which is it's a 429, on the stock block. But I did it right in my buddy's garage, so I like it. Do good.
Mhm.
Big power difference though from my 6.2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the building cars in garages and stuff like that, especially guys that can actually work on their own cars.
Yeah.
Like, I understand some guys, they just don't have the time. And if you have the money and you don't have the time and you can pay somebody else to do it, sure. But to me, there's a certain part of like if you built that car, you know that car.
Oh yeah,
You know
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Like I'm sure you're going down the track and something's off, and you can be like within half a second, be like, it's that thing. It's
Oh,
this
yeah.
thing.
Yeah,
You know,
or it's that
I
rocket
bu-
arm or
I
something.
built my car. I know pretty quickly within half a second. Oh, that cable came loose. Oh, this didn't do what it's supposed to. Oh, it's the rear brake. That we did that funky thing with.
Right.
I don't think, and I could be wrong. I don't think drivers that don't work on the cars themselves
Mm.
have that same instinctive. They just know.
Oh yeah. If you work on a car yourself, you know more about the car.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's the luxury of my car and driving the Purge because I built the motor in that car too.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I know in and out what it's gonna do, what's in it, what not to do. So yeah, like you're absolutely right about that.
Yeah.
So you got the new motor in your car. Have you changed your wheel package up, or what was the biggest transition if you could enlighten us going from running 10.5 slicks to big wheel? Or do you have to do much change up?
You got to run a timer retard off the line. Like you can't do that. On a 15, I don't use it. It's just there. You just control it with how much boost you want when you're leaving. But when you got the big wheels on, I got to pull timing out the motor to kill it as I'm transitioning from 0 miles per hour to the 60 foot.
You got to have some wheel speed so it won't break traction.
Yeah, but once I get to 60 foot, it's all in after that.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? On a real good track, you don't really got to use it as much. When they do radio prayer, like when we go to South Georgia Motorsports Park, track is crazy prep. You can't even walk on it. So anything that sticky, you really don't use it as much. But if I go like to Kinston or Fayetteville, I'm pulling timing for over a second just to get the car moving. You know what I mean?
You got to bring it in on the top end,
Mm-hmm.
330. So what's some of the furthest tracks you've been away to?
Shoot, we just went to we just had an event. Well, it was a 2-day event really. We just went to Piedmont, which is the NDRA event, which I'm in, National Dunk Association. It's just like the the NHRA. It's Association of People on rim racing and whatnot. But we had a show at Piedmont. We raced there, test Friday, race Saturday. And then that same Saturday after that event, we left there and went to Mississippi and raced Sunday, which was supposed to be like a 11-hour trip. It took 19 hours.
Mm.
You know what I mean? With, trucks overheating, tires blowing out, typical just trying to get there. You know what I mean? But I want to say that's the furthest I've been so far.
That brings us into one of our questions we ask. We always ask what got you into racing. One of the questions is, what's one of the craziest things that you can remember your whole career racing that happened either on the way to a track or something you had to do in between rounds to get the car to the next round, or even on the way home? What's one of the weirdest things you remember happening?
Happening is just tires blowing out. Getting to the event. You know what I mean? But as far as racing and stuff happening, is driving Purge, because the Purge never been 100%. It's always had issues. Like we have issues every time we go to the track. But we always win with issues. So it's like there's never a dull moment when we at the track. I'm always working on something.
Held together with zip ties and dreams.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, that's what I want to hear about. Is a lot of times you'll see a car in the winner's circle, but if you ever go underneath that car and you don't see the rags zip tied to the transmission line or just the crazy stuff, the ratchet straps holding things together, that if you had saw it before they made the round, you're like, man, I was not betting on that car.
Oh yeah, man. The good thing is we ain't never had like no leaks issue.
Mm-hmm.
It's always been like blowing a couple off or losing a clamp or something like that. Something involving boost.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the fun wins whenever
You
you beat the guy and you get to the other end of the track and you're like, hey man, good race, I'm glad we're both safe. It's like, yeah man, I didn't get you quite as bad as I wanted to. What do you mean? Well, my coupling blew off on the boost, man. So you were down on boost? Yeah. I thought you wouldn't come back around me, man. But when you beat somebody and you're down on boost, I mean, because of a leak, it's kind of bad. That's almost like hitting a parachute off the line and still dragging them.
I have done that.
Yeah, I plan to do that soon.
Yeah. I only did it because the other guy red lit, and it's because he bumped through. So I saw his go red, so I got about 10 feet out there through the parachute.
Thought you threw it before you took off.
Well, no, I needed a little bit of air, otherwise it would have stuck to the track probably.
I got you.
Yeah.
So you had issues with the purge. I mean, but you're getting those things worked out one at a time.
Yeah,
I mean, is it just mainly some bugs that you like build bugs? Because I know that's one thing with building cars. I mean, you could do everything right, and that's one thing about this. The faster you go, you got to upgrade stuff because the weakest link will show itself.
Oh yeah. It just be random part failure. You know what I mean? May go to the dyno, have a part fail. You know what I mean? But time crunch, so you got to be like, all right, I ain't got time to fix it, so we just gonna leave it where it's at and go race. Then we'll fix it later. And that's been the time crunch for me, because when we race, it's like for big rim racing, you got a break, and then it's like back to back to back to back to back. Then it's a break, then it's back to back to back to back. And so you don't really have time to really fix it. You just kind of get it where you can continue to go. You know what I mean?
You got a specific example of that?
Shoot, when we went to Mississippi, told you it took 19 hours to get there. It don't take that long to get there. We got there at 7 o'clock. The drivers meeting was at 7:30. We started racing at 7:45. I didn't have time to check nothing. You know what I mean? I barely had time to go get ice because I got the air to water in my car. So I'm always running ice. So I had just enough time to get ice. When I got back, we did the drivers meet. We pulled. We raced. Luckily, all the cars made it past first round except one. You know what I mean? Second round, I blew my coupler off my car at the end of the track, first round. It's hard to see a black boot on a black throttle body at night, so I didn't know it was off. So we went in the second round, and we betted a lot of money. You know what I mean? And I take off, and my car is super slow. Don't know why it's slow. I was mad. I'm beating the steering wheel just to find out my boot went on. You know what I mean? So that's one of them occasions, where you missed it. As far as the purge wise, you know what I mean, we're still battling that car. You know what I mean? It's halfway tuned because we had something happen, but we had to make the race. You know what I mean? So we're getting it together, but those are the things we run into. You know what I mean? Because you can't really do both at one time. So
it's hard to be crew, especially if you got a town. I mean, it's the big races. It's hard to get a big crew to go with you. I mean, a lot of guys, they got lives, they got jobs. It's hard to turn away. So
it's not everything in racing. Everything about racing. It's make your wife happy and go to birthday parties and work, I guess.
But getting to a track and being the racer and being the tuner and being on time. I mean, it's hard to keep up the logistics of all that.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you work on the safety stuff first. All right, I got air in the tires. We got fuel. Let's send it. And like you said, you hope for the best. But I mean, obviously things, you can't capture everything. Even he one time, he was at a race at Rockingham and had a hose blow off, water plug or freeze something come off on your car. You had
Which
a leak.
Time?
The time you had a leak at the top end of the track or something, and you were able.
Oh, that was when the engine exploded.
You thought you were going to be able to get it fixed, and they saw it in the pit, so they're like,
yeah. That's what took me out of racing for a little bit. That's why we're in a rebuild season right now. The made a little bit more boost than we were supposed to, and I hadn't O-ringed the block yet, and lifted the heads, pressurized the water system, blew off every water hose in my engine bay, and then drove through my own water at like 140-ish miles an hour. And but luckily I only run distilled water in it. I don't run any actual coolant. And so kept her off the wall. She went sideways for a little while there, and Drenzo Brown actually pulled me off the track at the end of it. And we're looking at everything, and I'm like, oh, that hose blew off. Oh, well, cool. Let's just hook the hose up. We'll be good. Because that's not what it didn't seem like that on the track. It just just steam. I'm sideways. Hook the hose back up. We're like, oh, that other hose came off. Oh, that's weird. Put that hose back on, tighten everything. Go to pour water in it. I hear it dripping out of both sides of the block. We're done.
Oh yeah, I had a bad experience with O-rings. I don't like them.
What was your bad experience?
It never seal.
Yeah.
Yeah, once it don't seal, just don't seal.
So were you trying to run a copper head gasket with that, or?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you got to get that. You got to get it right. One of the main things is heating up the block and the heads. Like you torque them, heat it, untorque them, torque them again, and you'd be amazed how much more those things clamp.
Oh yeah.
So that's been one of the things that we're working on mine, because if I ever want to go above, realistically, if I ever want to go above like 32 pounds of boost, you have to O-ring, you have to sleeve and O-ring a Coyote, because otherwise it's just not going to hold it, and it's just going to let it out the sides every time. And I'm really not interested in doing that again. Those things are expensive.
You gotta tell me.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually you'll put a LS in there.
No, I'm a Ford man. Look.
He's on the Coyote side.
Look, I'm going to be revving this sucker to 10,000.
Ford valve covers on the LS.
He's got a goal to beat the Snot Rocket.
Oh no, I do not. I do not have that kind of a budget.
Look, if you could be at his back bumper, I believe you'd be content at this point.
If I could see his back bumper, I think I'd be content. That
Dude
Snot Rocket is
flying.
Flying, dude.
That's how I feel about Boost Doctor. If I can stay near the car, I'm happy.
Didn't I see you race him not too long ago, and you're right at his door, or you actually beat him one time?
I ran. Now I've been in his door before, you know what I mean. But see, for me, I know how to take advantage of the track surface. You know what I mean. If we're at a track where it's not good, I try to take advantage of that. You know what I mean? Because he's pulling power, I'm adding it. You know what I mean. But a lot of people don't do that. You know what I mean. So they want to beat him on a perfect surface, everything perfect. But when you do that, he's gonna be able to use more of his power. You know what I mean. But I try to catch him in a track that ain't all that good. You know what I mean, and try to put the hammer down.
Well, that's the thing. When you are the tuner and the driver, you're like, all right, I know this thing's probably gonna have to spin. I'm gonna have to feather that pedal. I'm gonna have to drive it. If I want it, I'm gonna have to drive it, because I know what I got loaded in it, and I know I know what the car's probably gonna do, because I know what the track is.
Oh yeah.
So about 330, it's probably gonna shift a little bit. I mean, if I feather it just enough, maybe I can stay out in front of them and edge them out. It makes a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
So, you're speaking about the Purge, and you went to that big race. You say you won that race, or how did that go, or where you at from there to where you are now, and what you got coming up?
Well, like I said, the last couple of races we went to was Piedmont, Mississippi. We didn't win Piedmont. I made it to the finals in the Purge, because I had to run Don't Master in my car, which, and again, like 8 Mile, the car's pretty much even. You know what I mean? It's the quarter mile where they make all the power with. You know what I mean? From the 8 Mile to the quarter mile, that 2,000 they making, they putting it down in.
That's when you need that weight to keep you closer to the ground.
Shoot. You know what I mean? The weight's moving in.
Mm-hmm.
Ain't no worry about being close to the ground. You know what I mean? But we went from that track. I made it to the finals, didn't win. We left there when in Mississippi. I told you about the boot coming off, so that knocked me out. Second round, the Purge, we had problems with the tune. You know, you tune it to a certain point. Once you go beyond that point, it ain't gonna run right. You know, so I had to take a shot in the dark for who we were racing, and didn't run right. You know what I mean? So we left there. We're done that weekend. The next weekend we're at OBX to do it again. You know what I mean? And did I make it to the finals? No, I don't think I made it to the finals there. I actually went out first round in my car because of a tree issue. I staged. The owner had to drive his car because I pulled myself. I can't drive 2 cars at the same time. So he drove his car for the first time in like 2.5 years. So, you know, he staged first. I went to bump in. Before I could bump in, he took off. You know, but the tree never flashed red or none of that. It just, they supposed to back us both up, but it did. They backed him up and got him back in the light, and my car stalled out, so I'm trying to crank it. I could have cranked it in first gear, but I'm trying to put it in park and get it crunked and get it back right. By the time I got it back running back in first, tree went down, I realized he took off.
So he took the win.
So he took the win.
Man, that's a good way to stay as a hired driver, though. You let
You know what I mean?
you let the guys doing the hiring win.
Yeah.
That's
You just said, "Look, man, I didn't want to embarrass you.
Oh, no.
I wanted to let that car
That-
go. You know."
That wasn't even planned. I was supposed to win. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
We just had that mishap happen. You know what I mean?
hey, that's the draw whenever you do take two cars and you're the driver. I don't know how racers do it. I know of other racers. Jason Tyson was doing that for a while, going from car to car. Man, that's tough staying in, because I know, Nate, you even said, and we've had other racers on here, sometimes they'll get in the lanes, and once they get buckled in, even if there's an oil down or something, a lot of times you don't want to get back out of the car because you've already got strapped in. You're getting in the zone. Okay, I got to cut a light. You're going through your routines. All right, I'm going to make sure the power's on. Wait, are my fans on now? The car cool enough? I'm going to turn them off now. I'll turn them back on. I don't want my battery going dead. There's a lot of what's the sequences you got to go through to just get into the water box, get the burnout, and have that car still energized or have enough juice in the battery to make that full pass.
There's nothing more irrational in my mind than a driver in the water box, right? Anything could happen on track, and for some reason in our brain we go, I can do it. I know those guys didn't do it, but I can get this car down the track. And everyone will be like, no, we're gonna clean up the track, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. And in our brains we're going, no, I got it. Yeah, it's completely covered in oil out there, but nah, I'm good. You know, and it takes someone just being like, back the car up, calm down, get your head out. Because, you know, I don't know, for me, it's like get into that kind of fight mentality in my brain where I'm like, you know, I want to get into the light. I want to cut that guy's head off, you know, on the tree. I want to see the wind light come back on. And then as soon as that wind light comes on, or even his line comes on, all right, cool, we're good again. Back to normal, you know. But that's the mentality I have to get myself into to cut a good light. Because if I just go up there, oh, yeah, whatever happens, man, you know, I'll cut a horrible light.
Yeah, I'll be doing a lot of thinking. I don't be thinking about none of that. You know, like, for real.
So you did do it OBX, and what you got going from there? You got some stuff coming up, or?
Well, we back racing in August. The first weekend in August, we're going to Mobile, Alabama. So we're going there, and I actually got 2 locked out races. I'm locked out with a guy from Texas with a Monte Carlo for 500 on 1,000, and we got the Purge locked out with a guy from Alabama, 200 on 1,000. You know what I mean? And that's Friday. The shootout is Saturday. You know what I mean? So we're going a day early, get a couple $1,000 because I don't plan on losing.
No.
And win the shootout, take that money. The very next weekend there's a race in Tennessee that we're going to try to go to. Big payout. I think it's like $5,000 payout for that race. Plan is to go down there, win that one. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Just make a round trip.
Oh, yeah. It's always good when you can win every weekend. You know what I mean?
Just go out of state, collect everybody's money, and then bring it back.
That's the plan.
Yeah.
Like I did real good doing it when the Purge was on nitrous.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a lot of footage of that. Me winning all them races on the car. You know, but ever since it's been turbo, it's been a battle trying to get the car back lined out. You know what I mean? But it's coming around now.
Yeah, it just any car, it takes time to get the buzz worked out. But like I said, you're working with your car and that car. Do they have somewhat similar engine packages or?
Well, the only thing similar on them is the fact that they LS turbocharged, but they both got a wicked performance transmission. You know what I mean? Recently, we just redid his transmission, wicked performance. You know what I mean? But as far as like how they work, they're real similar. You know what I mean? He's on Holly, and I'm on MS3, Omega Squirt.
Okay.
You know, I hear a lot of people always say, man, you need to go Holly. I'm like, well, they give it to me for free, I go. But
shout out to any sponsors out there if you want to hook them up with a
Holly, Fuel Tech, any of them, you know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stedman ain't hard to find.
Yeah. I want to throw it in there, I slap it on in there, you know what I mean?
Mm.
For real. I really need a rear end, so if anybody wants to sponsor me a 9-inch, I need 40 spline axles now. You know, 'cause my car makes a lot of power now.
Mm-hmm.
You know. So if anybody wants to know, I'll go and say, but it made 1,200 on 20 pounds. You
That's
know,
respectable right there.
which is really good.
Mhm.
At like 6,300 RPM.
Nice.
Like I ain't never like wound it out. So like it didn't stop making power. We just stopped letting it make power. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
No, we got to step it up. We got to beat Boost Doctor, straight up one of these days.
I ain't there yet.
Yeah.
But it's on the way.
I'm just saying, you got to have a goal. You got to have a goal, I've texted Ira a couple times trying to get him on here, but we just haven't been able to work it out.
He's super busy.
He is.
He never stops working.
Yeah.
Like, for real. After hours, he's still working.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for real. But I learned a lot from him. You know what I mean? That's who I was following when I first started Big Wheel Racing. We went to Silver Dollar Motorsports Park, and I went with him, watched the process, seen what needed to be done, what stuff was on his car. You know what I mean? But he's so busy, so you can't just ask him, hey, man, how do I do this? You know what I mean? You kind of really got to just watch what he do to learn, you know what I mean? Or you got to ask questions where he can only answer, you know what I mean, to get what you need to get. But, I learned a lot from him watching him race.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of my tactics and the way I race is based off him, you know what I mean? But at the end of the day, when we do race, it be close. But it's close because 9 times out of 10, when we race, we're not at a track where he can use all his power.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? I know some people feel like, he turned his car down, like he ran. Be like, nah, like, he had no choice but to turn his car down. But that's why I try to make my move. But if it was at like Dawson or something like that, like his car is really, really fast.
Yeah. The track is the equalizer.
Yeah, track and the tire, really.
Mm-hmm.
It don't matter how much power you make, they're gonna break loose at the same point of power.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about tuning. So I look at hard tire racing as like reverse to no prep, because no prep, you're not on prep, but you on a tire that hook. Hard tire, the tire don't hook, but you on extreme prep. So it's kind of the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, how many passes do you normally get out of a hard tire like that? Is it in
2 years worth of racing, if not longer? You don't never have to buy tires. You know what I mean?
Do you run? You have to run certain air pressures in tires, or
you definitely have to drop the tire pressure down below 20 pounds. You know what I mean? Because you have no sidewall. So if the tire have a wheel hop to some crazy vibration, like that's how I broke my transmission case from wheel hopping. You know what I mean? Because there's no wall to support the bouncing.
Yeah, there's no give.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, man, that is. I've never experienced real wheel hop. I've had a little, where I just started to feel it, got out of it immediately. But I was watching a Steve Morris video because he's a big floppy tire car, and he said, tire shake in one of those cars is like running into the curb 100 times in a row. He's like, it's gonna break something. Does not matter. It's just what's your weakest link in it. It's gonna find it.
It's the same way with rim racing. You know what I mean? They got more power to make it more violent, but less sidewall makes it the same amount as violent. You know what I mean? So it's definitely crazy. I don't feel as much because I don't have a race seat in my car. Like, I really have a street car. I don't have like no Kirko seat, none of that. Like, everything that's supposed to be in my car is still in my car.
Well, that gets on to one of our funny topics. We'll be getting close to wrapping up here in a minute, but what's your definition of a street car?
I mean, it's simple, but it all depends on who's doing the event. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody say Taz insurance, of course.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You got to drive it to the lanes, drive it back. You know what I mean? But you need to have all the stuff in the car, like your door panels. I don't mean like the special sheet metal panels, the regular door panels. You know what I mean? Does everything in it need to work? Not really. You know what I mean? But everything that was in the car need to be in the car. That's how I look at it. You know what I mean? Because I really want to run the Kingston Jump, the streetcar class, but I can't run it because you got to have a working heater.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It's when we race 108 index, nobody's using the heat.
Yeah, that was my whole.
He might have a couple of computer fan motors he can loan you in.
So,
You know what I mean?
so I was running a class last year, and they required that we have working air. Was what they said. It has to have working air, right? Now, when they came out with those rules, I had already removed all that from the car. I was stripping it down, trying to get as much weight out of it as I could. So they came out with that, and so I messaged the guy in charge of the class. I said, "Hey, how are you going to know if we've got working air, or if we don't have working air? Like, what's the test?" And he goes, he's like, "Well, if you get protested, obviously I got to check." And he's like, "And I'll just, ask you to turn it on, and if I can feel a breeze coming out of the vents, I know you got working air." I was like, "Cool." So I went up under there and put a couple computer fans at where the vents are and had them on a toggle switch. And so I'd start the car and be like, oh, I'll turn it on. And little breeze came out of there. And he goes, okay, cool. You're good. But then they specified the rule very specifically for this year where it has to be a working heater core. So,
well, he's just Nate said, it's like what's a pro mod, what's a street car, and I'll let Nate tell what his definition of a pro mod is.
My definition of a street car is whatever you have currently. Whatever I'm driving currently is a street car. Anything just beyond that, that's pro mod. That's where most everybody falls into, right? They look at their car and go, well, that's a street car, definitely, because I drive it, so it's a street car, right? But if you have anything that I don't have, just beyond that, that's pro mod, or whatever title, race car, full race car, whatever we want to call it,
Right.
And it's, at the end of the day, I think street car is probably one of the hardest classes to nail down, right? Because there's so many different definitions on it. Or kind of like all steel, all glass, right? That class.
That's
right?
not true.
It's like they can't seem to agree what the definition of all is, right? They'll be like all steel, all glass, but the windshield can be Lexan for safety, and the rear glass can be Lexan, but the windows, they go, your side windows, they need to be glass. And then all steel, well, it's okay to have fiberglass fenders and a hood and a trunk lid, but as long as the quarters, unless it's a Corvette, and then, So it's one of those, like, I really wish, and maybe if we get big enough on this podcast, we can have, like, a bunch of the racer promoters and stuff like that on here, and we can just nail out rules, just to kind of universalize it between a lot of different series. I think that would be really cool. I'd love to get Duck on at some point.
I think it would help all those series grow if they could all adapt the same rules. Same rules. I mean, identical rules. It may take a little bit of changing for some of them to convert to, but if they can all pan it out, I mean, it might be a race that was scheduled for Georgia this weekend. They got rained out, but there's one in North Carolina. Those guys already got the cars in the box on Thursday. They're going somewhere. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, the one that's in North Carolina might get rained out, and they have one in Georgia. So, I mean, I believe it would help them all out. I don't think it would cut anyone if they would just come up with the same rules package. I believe it would help all those series grow. Mm-hmm. And actually, if they could have a shootout out of it, the top winners of their races, have them all come together for a shootout. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, I felt honored today for you to come on, man, to tell us about what you've done with your car from starting.
Where can people find you? Anything to plug?
TurboStead 86 on IG. Stedman Williams on IG. Got 2 IG pages. Stedman Williams on Facebook, TikTok. I think it's 86 TurboStead on TikTok. But I post on all the platforms. If I post in one place, it kind of go everywhere. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? I'm pretty much there daily.
All right.
Good deal. And the next race they can get you at is?
I'll be at Mobile, Alabama the first weekend of August.
First weekend of August.
Right. Yeah. Try to working out all the problems with Purge, right?
Oh, yeah, we're going to do that probably next week.
There you go.
Yeah, I'm going to the Hub down there to go see Garrett Toohey. I don't know if y'all familiar with the white bread tuning at Fayetteville. Yeah. Okay.
Any other sponsors you want to shout out, man, just helped you along the way? Or?
Man, I got a long list. Shout out to my barber, Golden Touch, Wayne Beard Oil, Wicked Performance, Go Fast Garage.
I love Kenny.
Wayne. I forgot the name of his welding business, but we know who Wayne is.
Mm. Yeah, Wayne, you know who you are.
Who else?
Wayne, make sure you're liked and subscribed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he is. But who else? Lorenzo and Drive By Mafia. My team, Team Corners Racing. Everybody on there. And a list of a lot of people, that's been helping with the car, for real. Everybody been throwing in, helping, doing whatever they need to do to get us all where we need to be at, for real.
Yeah.
That's what's up, man. Well, once again, appreciate you making the trip, coming on, man, and hope to have you back on again in the future, man.
Yeah.
You're kind of, we can try to get Donk Master on here, but we definitely appreciate having you on here to enlighten us about the big rim racing, man.
Love to get Dunk Master on here. Love to get Boost Doctor on here. You know,
my advice to y'all, if y'all want to catch them, y'all take this table, we'll load up in the trailer. We go to Fast and Flashy, 'cause that's coming up. I think the next month after August. Y'all bring the table. I'm pretty sure I can get them to sit down and talk to both of y'all.
We might have to work that out, man.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Maybe take this on the road.
Well, man, once again appreciate you making the trip, and I'm looking forward to catching up with you again soon, man.
Oh yeah, man. I'll definitely be around.
I'm sure there's still a lot of stuff we haven't heard about you and about your journey in this racing world, and I'm looking forward to hearing more about. Say the name of that car again?
Parisian.
Parisian. I'm gonna keep an eye out for it, man.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, guys. As always, I'm Nate the Fast Plumber on Instagram and on YouTube. And please make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Please share this with other people so we can keep growing. We are at hundreds of subscribers now, that's pretty cool.
That's pretty cool. And I am Ernie with 10-5 Life, and you can find me on Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, and we're gonna keep score, man. I'm gonna try to be here for the next one too, man.
Okay, I hope you're here for the next one.
I'm gonna try to make it, man.
I'm gonna hold you to it.
All right, man.
All
we'll
right.
see you. Thanks.
See you. Don't forget to sign the hood before you head out, man.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'll put my John Hancock up there.
There you go.